Hi, my name is Andre V and I'm the founder of Parcel Central. And today we are doing another episode to wrap up the 2025 and look for the 26. And my today's guest is Christian Secci. Is it right? Is it Secci or Secchi?
Secci, Secci.
Secci, Secci.
In Asia,
I'm
they
trying
say
to.
sexy. That's why my wife, she married me because when we go to the airport, they say, "Oh, Miss Sexy," which so she's happy.
I'm trying to improve my Italian pronunciation, but it's a pleasure to have you here. Actually, we had yesterday also a small talk in our live session. Really appreciate you being there, and you are extremely international person. You are doing business in different continents. What is the most hot area of the world for lockers in 2025? Is it Asia? Is it Europe? Is it South America?
I think Europe still dominates in terms of size of parcel locker network for logistics, right? So you have big network from InPost, DHL, GLS, and all the other post organization that they have the network. Is a more mature market, right? But then if I have to pick one market that can be very interesting for local, but more in the private sector residential, I think US will be is a market that everyone is going to talk about in the coming years because of the potential. But I've seen, I mean, China is already moving to autonomous locker, right? So if I have to talk about future and to see and watch where the market is going, then China is the market to watch, right? In the morning in Shenzhen, you have autonomous driving lockers, okay, that they are driving the packages in the district, and then the carrier on foot or by motorbike is carrying the packages and delivering to the building or to the office or to the lockers.
But also this, I agree with you that China is also a very hot market in lockers. What comes to lockers, but China is related also with one of the disappointments I had this year, and this was actually the plan of Hivebox to make an IPO that didn't took place. So I'm a bit sad about that because I would love to have Hivebox as a public company.
Yeah, it didn't take place, I think, because of the market environment. So I think they filed for IPO in Hong Kong. You know, Hong Kong Stock Exchange, a very sophisticated one. Okay. So you need also the right timing. And I think it's going to happen. I don't know exactly when because they filed, but can happen anytime. So let's look at this in 2026. But recently there was the listing of one of the spin-off of JD.com. Also, one of the company was listed in Hong Kong. So I think, just give time and you will see also iBox listed soon.
The other thing you mentioned is US, and this is also related one of my disappointments because last year ago I made a prediction and I said as one of my 5 predictions that this is going to be the breakthrough year for US to start adopting lockers. It didn't happen, at least in the scale I was anticipating. I'm not sure whether I'm bold enough to do another prediction that it's going to be next year. Probably. I still think that this US market is ready to start really seriously deploying lockers.
Look, I think maybe it's not happening on a public space, but in the private space, in the residential, I was impressed by the number of lockers that are installed all over US, right? And US is not one country, it's one continent with 50 states, right? With different regulation, different laws, different habits. So I think it's just a question of time. I think that they're moving toward the locker will be part of the logistic infrastructure of the country.
And there are two
Brazil,
things.
for example, like we are doing a project in Brazil. with not with locker, but with parcel stores. And I can tell you the numbers are mind blowing. Numbers are mind blowing. We went from a few hundred locations to 2,000 in less than 12 months. And then we went from few thousand parcel to 600,000 parcel per month. So the scale of the Brazilian market, but then the cost per parcel, the margin are very low. So lockers there, they are not as cost efficient as human labor. So they are competing with the cheap labor and the very low cost, low margin per parcel. So I think we'll take another couple of years, maybe more, to see one big rollout on a national level. But it's coming. I see a lot of projects now in Africa, for example. Africa is coming.
It
Interesting
is. It
project.
is. I see also in my community, I see more and more reach outs from African countries, and not asking that what should I do to establish a locker network, but saying that we are already deploying a locker. So this is absolutely true that Africa is on the right path also. What comes in general, I've had always for years a thesis that parcel locker is a function of labor costs and drivers availability. And when we return now to US market, then I think that the drivers availability, considering exactly the policy right now in labor market, I think that this is going to be the one thing that will drive carriers to the out of home and especially lockers.
I think we should stop treating locker as a product. If you treat locker as a single product, then the chances of success are very low. If you treat locker as an infrastructure, part of the ecosystem, then the locker is going to have success. That's just about that, right? And you see who are the successful network, right? The network like Impost, that they are part of an ecosystem where Impost has the fulfillment, the logistic, the locker, but they have also the home delivery. Another successful network, Vinted, is part of an infrastructure for C2C returns, like, and they have a clear purpose and the clear rules. So when you treat the locker as infrastructure and part of the ecosystem, integrated with all the different stakeholders, and you have the right density and the right network effect, then the network is successful.
And this is absolutely true. And the other thing I have noticed in several markets is that you cannot sell out of home service in advertising or in paper. You have to establish the network first and then customers come. You cannot say that if you are willing to use lockers, we will come. You have to establish whether lockers or put on networks there and then this is the same as I see it everywhere in back here in Estonia with special cycling roads. I see that they are building a cycling road near the highway in the middle of nowhere, and thinking by myself that to whom they are doing that. And then when it's ready, and then I see suddenly that people are walking, people are jogging, they came up from I don't know where, but they are there. So you have to provide the service first, and then people will come.
You know why China is successful? China supply chain is amazing, is unbeatable. Chinese government, they built infrastructure, trains, ports, airports for the country, for the people to use, so they can move freely. They can move people, they can move goods, right? Even if some of the infrastructure are loss-making infrastructure. But they do it because once you have all the infrastructure connected together, you have the ecosystem. Okay. The same is with the locker and the parcel stores, because we need to remember that parcel locker without parcel stores, it's very difficult to achieve that network and density effect. Also, you need the parcel stores as a as a backup for peak periods or for big items. I tell you one thing that is happening now in Hong Kong. A lot of parcel stores for Taobao and Chinese parcels. Why? Chinese buying on Taobao, what they do? They do consolidation because you are buying low value item, right? For let's say 200 Hong Kong dollar, right? 20 something euro. You cannot pay like 6, 7, 60, 70 Hong Kong dollar for shipping to your home if you're buying 200 Hong Kong dollar, correct? The ratio normally maximum you want to pay is 10%, 15% of the value. That's it. It's above 50%, you go and find the goods in the stores over there. So customer that they buy on Taobao, they consolidate. So I buy one item of 100 RMB, Hong Kong dollar, 50, then I consolidate them and have it delivered to the parcel store because it's cheaper than the home delivery. Hong Kong is very expensive on delivery, right? Compared to collection in stores. But the locker are too small for these packages. I tell you, I have a store near my house. They have 350 packages a day. A day, Monday to Sunday. It's just mind blowing. I will send you the picture later, right? This is a different market. So when you build a network, right, first of all, is about density and network effect. And then why you are building this network for parcel delivery, or you are building for returns, you are building for C2C, you are building for food deliveries, right? You need also to define the purpose. The network cannot have thousands of purposes. They must have one leading purpose. And then, okay, I'm building the network of parcel locker and parcel stores. It's part of my infrastructure because I have the fulfillment, I have the home delivery, I have the logistic associated.
This is, by the way, interesting. You said that talking about the parcel sizes or the consolidation effect. This is I see in many countries in Europe also, and I see the trend that the more demand is for bigger compartments. And on the opposite, very small compartment, the L size is not so popular anymore. And why? Exactly the point that you said that many of the Asian Temu deliveries are very small and they need really very small compartment. On the other side, those Asian, and not only Asian, but also local e-commerce has learned to consolidate, and they are consolidating the shipments, and not only the shippers but also the carriers. The carriers understand that if the client has already one parcel in the compartment, then we can put the next one. So it's really interesting trend that the sizes are going to bigger from one side and smaller from the other sides. Interesting trend, and this is very hard to manage with the lockers because the locker compartment size is quite a fixed in a sense. If you have built a locker with certain compartments, then you have to live with that for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, we can switch. You can add module because the locker are modular, right? If you have the space, you can replace some of the module with bigger compartment, right? Because I mean, if you are data driven, you know what is the average size of your packages, right? The 60-70% are small, 20% medium, and 5 to 10% are large. Using the data, you can also design the network or adjust the network based on the data, right? So also locker network are living organisms, right? You need to be flexible and have the capacity to remove some location if they are in the wrong location. It happened to us also in the past that we put locker in one location, then we move a few hundred meters, and then it was full. But in the previous location, low or average utilization, right? And then you need to have also the capacity of the extra location nearby that is a parcel store where you can redirect large packages that they don't fit into the locker, or you can use for as a backup for the peak season. So network need to be readjust and be flexible.
So you were talking also about or you were using several times expression infrastructure. Lockers has to be part of the infrastructure, and there are quite a many interpretations on what does it infrastructure means. But as I understand what you were saying now, that it's not that you will build only the locker network. You need to build the whole, or at least think or build up the whole supply chain, starting from the shippers to the endpoints, or at least you don't need to own that, but you have to have cooperations and deals within the whole chain, not only the handover endpoint.
You need to orchestrate. You need to be an orchestrator, right? So when the client come to us, we work with the post organization, with carrier, we're working with the open network. So they come to us and say, okay, look, this is what we have today, right? We have the post office, we have the home delivery, we have the warehouse management system, we have transport management system. Okay, now we are adding the locker as a part of this ecosystem, right? They're not coming saying, I want a pickup option. No, I have this ecosystem, okay, this infrastructure. I need to add a layer, an option to this infrastructure. And then we need to be able to design, that locker network as part of this infrastructure. So we need to connect with the warehouse management system, with transport management system, with the parcel store or the post office if they have, with the merchant at checkout, with other carrier if they want to open the network to other carrier. So it's all about design and orchestration. It's not just a pickup. And then that's why I think in China they're successful, because they see locker as the integration with they integrate the locker with residential services, the building systems, and they make them part of the daily life, not just a pickup.
Yeah, this is definitely one thing that I'm waiting and waiting. I can't wait to see that. Is that for me the definition of part of infrastructure means that lockers are not only for the parcels. There are different services built on top of that. Whether this is I don't know, farmers delivering me every week potatoes, or whatever local markets, whether I can have their rent things, whether I can recycle things. For me, this is part of the infrastructure, not only last mile parcels and returns.
I agree 50% with this. Actually, I don't agree with this, Andre. I'll tell you why. I think that is part of the utility. So, meaning that, okay, the purpose of the network, okay, that is in infrastructure in any case, but okay, what is the purpose of the network, right? Okay, I want just to do parcel delivery. That's it for the customer to pick up, right? That is the main purpose. But you can say, no, wait a second, I want to parcel delivery, plus I want to open for returns, right? Reverse logistic. Plus, I want to add last mile for C2C drop off. Or I want to use the locker as an asset management exchange, right? Meaning that, okay, you, Andre, can send me this tablet, drop off in the locker, and I can pick up in the same locker, right? So there is no, is locker to locker, location, same location. You see, these are all different authorizations. Or, oh, I want to add the locker for food deliveries. That's another thing. So I think that is a part of the utility. How you decide to utilize that, or the functionality of that network, right? And I give you a few examples. Okay, if you go again to China, every building, every office building, um, hotel has a locker only for food delivery. Only. No parcel there, no returns, nothing. It's just a locker with the see-through door for food delivery for Kita, or in Europe is I don't know, Foodpanda, Delivery Hero, right? But in China it's for Kita. That's it. You see, that's one network, one purpose, one utility. They don't want to do anything else with that network. And it's very successful because that network, first of all, is as a density, as a network effect. You find, I was in the hotel, I was in the Sheraton. I order food and they collect from this locker, right? If you go in the office building, there are locations with 300 compartments utilized several times a day. So
Absolutely
each
interesting.
market has a different,
Absolutely. This is one thing I learned also, that
and that's
if
the
you think that you
beauty.
have
That's the beauty of it. Why we're
it is
trying to
exactly.
generalize, standardize, because I can tell you what I'm seeing in Brazil is totally different what I'm seeing in Poland. What I'm seeing in
Absolutely.
Hong Kong is totally different what I'm seeing in Shenzhen, right? Or what I'm seeing in Ireland or in France with the temperature control locker. So there are so many different markets and
Christian,
different.
let's try to predict the future now, in a sense that I think that we will not predict the future. We can spot some trends. What do you think for the next year? Not for the longer run. Let's 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 have some options. And starting from the technology, I will ask some
Okay.
hypothesis. What is your take on that? So the one of my theses has been that the software will decouple from the hardware, so that there is a parcel locker software providers and hardware providers. What do you think about that thesis in the future? Is it so,
It's already
or
happening. It's already happening. It's already happening. I can give you few examples, even as our project where we are providing the software and the client is buying locker from two different manufacturers, two different companies. Okay, they
so?
are solution provider getting the locker from Chinese manufacturer. I give you another example. I mean, ours in Poland, but there is an example in Italy where they're using Blockit software is um, a joint venture between DHL and Poste Italiane. They're using Blockit software, but then the hardware is coming from another company. I don't know, a Kern or someone else, right? You see, even in Europe, is that the customer they want to have options. The companies they are able to provide that flexibility. Okay, look, you can use my software and buy hardware wherever you want. Perfect, are going to win in the long term. So it's
So
already happening.
next next thing, autonomous or agnostic or carrier specific networks.
Both. You have open shared infrastructure in several markets. And I tell you one thing that I learned also on my skin, because we did the same. Once you have an open shared network, there is a point where you are there depending on the parcel from the carrier, right? So you need to do a lot of integration because they are the carrier using your network, right? But then at a certain point, you need to build your own logistic. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to, maybe you achieve break even, but it will be very difficult to make money. So it depends on the market. You have markets where you have open network because they serve a purpose to serve the carrier. They cannot build their own network. And then you have closed network because those carrier like DHL, GLS or InPost, they have the volume and the capacity and the financing to build their own network.
I tend to agree with you, and again, I have big sympathy to the agnostic locker network concept as such. As we
Market
talk,
need both. Market need
yeah,
both. If you
as
go to
we talk,
Singapore, there is only one open share infrastructure because this is a design by the government. It's the government that they built. They invested in infrastructure. They built 1,000 locations in a city of 5 million people. So there is a locker every 5,000 people. So this is by design by the government, but it's in a city state that is not too big, right? So it's easy to apply that concept.
you mentioned also regulations. So now we are not talking about next year, but looking for longer, what do you think, will lockers be regulated heavily in every country and every city, or this is going to be sort of how market drives it?
I think Europe probably will regulate lockers, the
This
European
is what
Union.
this is.
And again, if they decided to regulate, we welcome regulation and we will adapt accordingly. But I tell you one thing, I live in Hong Kong in the Great Bay Area. There are autonomous locker and then autonomous humanoids robots starting to appear. Why? Because there are regulation, but not too strict. So they let the companies innovate, right? So yes, let's continue with the regulation is needed for the core of the cities, and because maybe there are too many networks, is okay because they want to standardize the standard, okay. But then the innovation is not coming from Europe. The innovation
And
then
last,
is coming from Asia.
yeah, last question about the Asian innovation and the let's talk about the humanoid robots that are already appearing here and there. What do you think is next year the year where we will see really humanoid robots working in last mile delivery, whether in sorting or some kind of locker fulfillment from autonomous driver cars?
Okay, autonomous locker, they're already on the street in Shenzhen and in some rural area of China. I just posted something on my LinkedIn today. Go and check. Okay, so they're already there, but it will be different market by market because of regulation, right? And also the infrastructure, because you need to have also the infrastructure to be able to the sensors, the city must be designed also to welcome this kind of autonomous vehicle. So they're already there, right? I think next year in this part of the world we'll see more and more, right? Um, Humanoids I've seen already in some factories or in some fulfillment center, some humanoids that they are not replacing humans completely, but they're enhancing humans. And I tell you a number. In China, the population is aging. They have a huge problem. So 30% of the workforce in the factory need to be automated. It's not by because they want to do it, but it's because they need to it. They need to do it. It's by choice. I'm excited about all these technologies converging together, right? Autonomous lockers, humanoids, robots, virtual reality, augmented reality, AI, quantum computing. I think all these technologies converging together, they will create a new world that we need just to imagine and make it happen.
Now, Christian, thank you. I think we have to wrap up. Actually, we agreed to talk about 15 minutes, but this is half an hour already, and I could easily talk another hour with you. Thank you for those insights. I think it has been tremendous value for me to learn from your experience because, again, you are in the crossroads of different continents, different markets, and different industries also. So, Christian, thank you. Wishing you all the best for the end of the year, and hopefully we will meet soon somewhere in the world.
Andre, thank you, thank you, thank you, because you are doing an outstanding job to educate the industry. I'm learning a lot from you, from your content, and from your interviews. So keep going, keep doing, because we need people that help us to educate the industry, also people that help us to build bridges to cooperate to make the industry better. I believe in making the pie bigger, and there are opportunities for everyone. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you in 2026.
See you. Take care.
Bye.